very interesting that the director, along with Grace, that they decided to juxtapose her career with her home in Jamaica and her roots. And, you know, one of the things I was thinking, there's an old adage that says, home is where you learn who you are. And Grace brought so much of that into her career, into, you know, the color, the way she dressed, the way she expressed herself, the roots that she never lost. And so I thought it was a very interesting juxtaposition for a documentary. It was very non-traditional. Certainly I was expecting it to take the trajectory of her career, as did Andre's.
My name is Christian Rod. I was born in Paris, and my family is from Africa and the Caribbean, so I guess it's big. And I got my opportunity from, I could say, a couple of people: Yves Saint Laurent, Paco Rabanne, John Franco-Ferré for Christian Dior, Karl Lagerfeld, and I ended up and was, you know, didn't want to go to school, so I was like, I didn't want to go to school. Education was not interesting. You know, I just wanted to make money. And then Grace and my friend Katusha, which I became her booker.
Oh, Katusha.
Yes. Katusha, they came with some money and they said, oh, you don't want to go to school, you want money, right? And at that time, they gave me some money. And they hear, like, this is for you. And I'm like, what is that? I'm like, I see it's money, but I can't count. And then they was like, you see, education is everything. So I had to push myself learning the business online. And Mom said, well, you know what, if you don't want to go to school, take the door. And then Grace was like, nope, we're not doing that. We're going to school, we're going to work. And then, you know, from 14, working in the industry, I became one of the bookers, I could say black bookers, because everyone was like, oh no, black agent? No. You could spend money, you're not understanding the business. But then, and when they don't like you, you have to make them love you. When you don't understand something, you have to learn and make sure that you may not get it the first time, but get once to be there. And then you'll achieve it and achieve it and achieve it.
I realized that I was multi-talented at that moment. You know, I never thought to pigeonhole myself into any one particular brand or any title. And lo and behold, within the industry, I became the celebrity stylist because that was what people needed most, and that's what paid my bills, basically. But I've always been a producer, and I've always been a writer, and I've always been a creative, and I've always been able to make a way out of no way and wake up one day and say, I need $10, and I'm going to do this to get that $10. And that's the thing that I want to instill in this generation. We get so caught up on looking on our phones and looking at this instant microwave gratification kind of stuff where you can't even bake a pie anymore and make something sumptuous and make something delicious and make it for the masses to absorb and enjoy. And I don't want you guys to get caught up in that. I want you to be able to get the ingredients, put it together, and present it properly. So,
Ty, it's interesting that you say that because, you know, as I talk about an editor-in-chief, so much of the way we live is programmed and in sync with the ways of others that we don't take time to look within. You know, we don't realize that there is, through our divine gift, if you will, that there's an empire waiting to be created just from what we have. And you will miss it if you're shopping what's popular or what someone else is doing, or if you're lost in the virtual reality that is social media, you know, looking at, oh, well, this is happening. Oh, well, maybe I should try to do that. how about looking within and seeing what you were sent here to do? The other thing that I loved is that you realized that you were multi-talented. And when you realize that, you understand how to use every tool in your toolbox. You see, so then you're not lacking anything because you are fully engaged with all that you bring to the table. And I'm really glad that you pointed that out. You know, certainly Grace realized that early on. It wasn't just, Grace knew she had a face. Grace knew she had a voice. She knew, you know, we talk often about multiple streams of income. Grace knew all that she had to work with to create that. So that's really important. I think that's a very profound message for the audience here tonight. Yeah.
And if I can just piggyback off of that, one of the things that I found really profound was, one, your point, not only I love the way that they did juxtapose, because she was like my Jamaican girlfriend up the street. There were moments that it wasn't Grace Jones. I mean, she was like, you know, I live in Brooklyn, so it was so relatable. And then she's on the Champs-Élysées, I can't even say it, having champagne and seamlessly moving within both worlds. So I really did enjoy that. But what I also took away from her was her boldness. And I felt like even if you didn't see this, you knew that she was like this stage persona, right? Bigger than life. But there was a boldness in her every day. There was a bravery in her constitution that resonated for me, despite the abuse, right? So throughout, the abuse is peppered in, and it gives you a backdrop as to like that torment or the moments where you see where there's a heaviness to her, because you got a little bit of that too. But what I took away tonight was she was bold no matter what, and that was her truth. And I was like, wow, that was to me what really powerful.
Yeah, and I think Chris can share too that, you know, she didn't despise her humble beginnings, you know, like, and that's the thing that I think we miss a lot of times nowadays, that you have to start somewhere. You know, the elders used to say to us, you have to crawl before you walk. And the challenge, everybody wants to run now. But you miss, if you don't go through the process, there's a challenge with arriving before you're ready. Yeah, and Grace really went through all of it. She knew what she did without, you know, when she, you know, those lean modeling days, and yeah, to get to be the Grace Jones. Yeah.
And we'll agree. The thing is, I would love to have Grace to spend just sometime 10 minutes with you and just enjoying her as a person. You know, what you see is her, what you see is what you get, but some knowledge, like, it's an old spirit. It's amazing.
Leonard, we haven't heard from you yet.
I guess I'm gonna jump in because I've got all talkers here.
I need some powerful people up here.
To miss out. Okay, my name is Leonard Davis. Good evening. I'm coming from a different perspective because I'm a fashion designer. I started out at the Fashion Institute of Technology in 1969 as a student. And I went to Paris from there, École de Champs Syndicales, the Union School for Culture. And after I graduated from there, then I worked in Paris for a number of years as a designer at Charette, Jean-Louis Charette, as an apprentice. It was cute, it was fun, it was boring. And so I came on back home, and being African American in 1970, it was like 73, it was a struggle trying to be on 7th Avenue and get a job as a designer at that time. Many doors were closed. I went to Ole Cassini and Ralph Lauren and some of the big names that you're aware of, and worked for a minute. They took some of my designs, all kinds of stories of this sort that you may have heard of. Well, finally I got a break with the one and only, the legendary Willie Smith.
Oh, wow.
And I got an opportunity to work as his assistant designer up until the time that he passed away. And, you know, we lost a lot of our artists due to AIDS back in those days. But it gave me a great experience, and it gave me a leg up and an opportunity to get into the industry and learn a lot of the harsh lessons. A lot celebrating people, looking at celebrities, following people's careers, wanting to make it. Don't we all want to make it? But early in the game, you have to learn the rules of life, along with education, but the rules of life. The first rule is the two most important days of your life is obviously the day that you were born, and what's the second day? That's not it. The second day is the day that you find out what you were born to do. So as you look at something like a documentary like this, and you see somebody who discovered their mission, it might not be yours, but it was what she was born to do. The journey brings you. You may be like Beyonce and know it from when you were 3 years old when you knew what you were meant to do. It may take you a lifetime. You may have just been meant to be a mother, a good wife, a good sister, a friend. But what were you brought here to do? And so once you, if you're blessed, if you're fortunate enough to figure that out, then you can go for it. But here's the next thing. You're trying to compete with the famous. You're watching someone else, what Oprah said. She never looked to the left or the right. She just kept going forward. She came along at a time when Donahue was big. Sarah Jessica Raphael. All these shows were on the whatever. She said, I didn't look to the left or the right. I didn't look at the competition. I just followed my mission. I just went where I was going. So if you watch a documentary like this and you celebrate people who have found their road and they make it, let me ask you a question. How badly do you want it? She was butt naked. Is that true? She was willing to go without paying the rent because she didn't know how it was going to be paid. Is that true? Do you know the biggest rock? LL Cool J, who just won the Kennedy Honor Awards, said at the awards, you know what he felt was the secret to his success? The fear, the fact of overcoming the fear of looking silly. That's fear. So I mean, the base of that is fear, overcoming fear, overcoming fear. Okay? So a lot of what you did, I was cringing. And now at her age, she's back. The fear of looking silly. So those people who you see that you're celebrating, that we honor, that we think are so wonderful, they found that mission, their purpose, and then they had to overcome the fear to get out there and pursue it. That's the lesson that we all have to learn, that who are you? What were you meant to be? And that may be multiple. It may not be one road, but this bridge led you to another. You gonna marry a white man? Anybody want to marry a white man? Anybody want to marry multiple people? But then look at J-Lo. You know, look at some of these people who marry, jumped up and jumped up and jumped. Are you willing to get on a casting couch to make it? Some people did. Are you from a rich background? Are you from a poor background? Have you ever taken drugs before? Read the books. Read how people have made it. That's not your road. That's not what you want to do. But a lot of the people that we're celebrating today have had difficult roads and have made their mistakes. But mistakes are not their decisions. That's what life is consistent of. Decisions. As you take the road, get on the A train or the F train. Each one is going to lead you to a different destiny. Which way should I go? Because here's the door. Well, here's several doors. And I'm ready. I'm right out of college. I'm ready. Now, which way should I go with it? Because I have something. I have the education. I have it. Now, what should I do with it now? And here's the Bill Cosby opportunity. You are reading for the part of Claire, and there are 4 other people that are reading for the part of Claire, and you come up, and now, you know what? There's the couch. How badly do you want it? somebody got the part. Well, do you want to know the truth or don't you? Somebody got the part. So if you were up for the part, if several other people were up for the part, and you did what you had to do to get it, and several other people did what they thought, and there were 4 contenders, 4 finalists, 2 finalists, what? Somebody got the part. And so at the end of the day, I know I didn't get it, but I know I sure tried. In the fashion design business, Holston started his business with 3 people. 3 multi-millionaires backed him to start a business. So don't feel bad when you're getting out there by yourself. But the key to all the success of these people was collaboration. Yeah. Important, because your girlfriend is a bulldog and will chase people and get that money. You're not.
Your network is your net worth.
Yeah. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly.
Who you know.
Exactly.
Who you know. Utilize who you know. Collaboration. I'm going to shut up and let everybody talk.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, please learn some of these lessons and don't celebrate people so fast that you don't investigate their story and see how they made it. Okay? And realize, okay, maybe I'll take a portion of that. But I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to do that, but I want to make it. How badly? Because you can't beat her. Because she's going to make it. She put everything in the pot. She's going to make it. And you can't beat a person that's driven like that, or can you? So that's what decision you have to make, and you can't be jealous and you can't be mad, because a lot of actors who have made it slept in their car, ate beans, did a lot before they quote unquote made it. A lot of Denzel's own their own production company. They're not waiting for anyone to call them. Okay? They've made their own opportunities. Do you have your own production company? Have you solicited and got your own money? You watch Empire on TV, you see Cookie and Lucius. They do a little backstreet thing there too.
You want to follow up?
I really do. I'm sorry. One of the things that I would say, not to be discounted, are faith and determination. And I really do, if you look at Grace really believed in herself. And she embraced the cost as well as the delight of her dream. So, again, how much do you believe? How much do you understand or know your value or what you bring to the table? I do think that we need to link arms and eggs with one another. Stop seeing one another as competition. We didn't learn that from our elders. We didn't learn that in the motherland. That is some malignant behavior that we took on. So we need to stop that. You don't have to know everything, but you do need to surround yourself with enough people who together they do. The Bible talks about keeping company with the wise. The other thing, I really do believe that what has your name on it, no one else can show up and claim it. I think if you bought a theater ticket and you were in seat B109, when you get there, you don't expect to see someone else in your seat. So I always say, if we understand the principle of reserved seating, God does too. So, others will fail you, but He's never failed you yet, because He's just not that. One of these things is not like the other. But you do have to show up ready. And to Leonard's point, you do have to be determined. You do have to put your blinders on and aim for it. One of the things Oprah told me back in 1985, she said that, I knew I couldn't be Donahue and I couldn't be Sally Jesse, but I knew how to be Oprah. So she showed up as her authentic self. And that you can succeed at. If you take on the ways of others and you mimic others, you're going to have to keep taking that master class, because that's removed from your truth. So the best thing is to really understand what you came here to do. Polish your gift. Know that God never ordered anything He didn't intend to use. There's a reason why you're so good at what you do. So then you have to visualize how others will experience it. That's what Grace did. When she stepped out on that stage and said, all these young girls out here, I feel like I'm in a brothel. She didn't visualize using her gift like that. And she went back and she wasn't afraid to say so. The other thing is learn to blaze a trail and stop taking the road well traveled. You know, when I pitched for the position of cover director 6 years into my tenure at Essence, the magazine had never had a cover director before. There was no cover editor or director on the masthead of any magazine. But I knew that I wanted to brand the cover of Essence so that women of color would know that amongst the hundreds of titles on the newsstand, that was their magazine, even if the logo was covered up. If you went to the supermarket and it was on the bottom of the stand, you knew that was Essence. And I remember them saying to me, well, you know, if you take this position, what does that mean for the art director? It means that his job is going to get better and easier. Because I'm not his competition, we're going to work together. So, you know, that's the other thing I want to say to you. You know, I could have said, oh, well, I can't do this because they don't have a cover director. They don't have a this. You know, when I first started at Essence, they handed me a job description that said my job was to affirm the culture's definition of beauty. And okay, well, that's all well and good, but how about the few products that work for us can fit in the span of my 2 arms? So I started to educate the companies. It wasn't long before they asked me to write my own job description. So that's what determination does. That's what happens when you know your value and you are clear about what you've come to contribute. So that's the first thing. You really need to have that introspective conversation. What have I been created to do? Yeah, not what so-and-so is doing so well. Don't let potential, you know, pass your empire by because, well, I can go to work for somebody and work 5 figures. But what was given to you could create 6, 10, and more, and gather others up with you. So yeah, realize how fierce you are.
I mean, such a tough act to follow. But to your point, and to piggyback off of one of the things that he said about showing up ready, I'm a huge proponent about educating yourself. I'm a huge proponent, especially now, and I didn't come up with Google, but I'm a huge proponent of research and educate, because if you show up ready, guess what? I don't have to get on the casting couch because I know my work and I came to the table with what I come to the table with. So now the casting directors, guess what? They're emailing me.
Yes.
So Will Smith, Jada always says, stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So, and I learned that foundational piece, modeling. Again, I come from a different school. So Ty and I laugh about this. There was no, let's take 20 photos real quick and then we can throw it up on Instagram.
Right.
I have boxes still of shoots that I couldn't use one photo. Because you know what? How much it cost to retouch, or the lighting wasn't right. And you know what? That, however much money I spent on that shoot went down the drain because I couldn't use any photos. So I come from a different school of, you really had to, your skin really did look like that. Like you really did have to drink water all the time. Like you really did. There were no those apps now that make you skinny. We didn't have that. You really had to be a 4. You know what I mean? So but that taught me again, you know, about staying ready. So, you know, to Mickey's point about being ready and educating yourself. Again, another reason why I wrote the book, because I feel like we just don't have that access to information. We just don't know what's available. And it's so important for whatever you do, whatever your gifting is, to really not only research it, but study it and really, really be good. No shortcuts. Like really, really be that stylist that when you show up with 3 extra looks.
Right.
Or that makeup artist where your kit is so tight, they can't deny you. You know, or whatever it is, like really, really go above and beyond. I can't emphasize that enough, because that's what's gonna set you apart from everyone else. You know, and yes, it is a crowded industry now. You know, I think about, even when I was writing the book, I was like, you know what, everyone writing a book is like the new black. I was like, everybody's writing.
But cream rises to the top.
So there's that. But again, to Mickey's point, but when you know what you're created to do, and I had that information and I decided to forge forward anyway, your gifts will make room for you.
It really will. Yeah, it really will.
So I would love to take some questions from you guys so we can kind of wrap this up. It's Friday. I know you guys probably want to get out for a cocktail, or maybe not. Or make that love date, swipe left or whatever. Me, I'm just gonna go home. So I would like to open up for questions for the panel.
So each one of you actually created the road that you were on. And I know that had to come with a lot of fear because you couldn't look to anyone and say, well, I'll do that. So how did you even know how to move forward? I think that's why this generation is always looking at Instagram or looking at other people, because there's a big question of how do I get there from here?
So first of all, you really do have to surround yourself with the right people. It really is about getting your own tour guides, people who can tour you, as far as they can on the journey with which you desire to take. And you really have to believe in what you bring to the table. I can't stress that enough. And you have to nurture that. You also have to starve, what you need to check and nurture what you need to grow. And only you can answer that. Certainly every time I showed up at a press event, maybe for the first 15 years or so, I was the only. And I also had to stop the ludicrous talk because you couldn't tell me these products work for black women, and I knew better. So then I had to tell them, and I had to have the courage to do so, at the risk of maybe not being invited back. The other thing, when you move self out of the way, you'll be surprised at what you can do. When I walked in the door, each time I walked in the door, I recognized that 10, 12, as the magazine grew, 14, 16 million women walked in the door with me. So I knew the power that I also brought to the table. Again, I can't say enough also about treasuring your vision space. This is your command central. And so you really have to stay focused. You also have to be the point guard to this. Because we take in a lot of chaos nowadays. We take in a lot of ill beliefs by others. People tell you can't do this, that, and the other. No one should get to define that but you. You really have to guard what goes on in here. If this is your design center, if you will, it is your most sacred space. The other thing, you need to surround yourself with people who want to see you win. I write about that in the book, that everybody needs a celebration circle. So who are those people that want to see you win, who check you when you're wrong, who won't come to your pity parties, but they'll pull you out, who will connect you with others because they're not afraid of you getting there before them. So who are those at least 5 people in your life?
It's funny you said that. I was going to say, I believe, I subscribe to, you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time around.
Research has proven that.
So research has proven that. So look at that. And there are times in my life where I've had to look at, I may not have been happy at where I was, and I looked at who I'm spending, no shade to them, but just, but son to me, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And also your instinct. For me, it's been my instinct to turn down jobs, turn down opportunities. I've had casting couch opportunities. I've had a Me Too moment where, turning down things and your instinct, knowing your gut, but that's personal work. And that really has nothing to do with your gift, and that's you and your creator. Because that's your personal work. So therein lies work as well, because I know we move through the world this way, but really, it's your divine
That's
creator.
right.
Can I tell you from a design perspective, also one of the greatest challenges for fashion designers, and I'm not talking about independent designers who design for themselves and manufacture, but if you're working as an industry fashion designer for commercial companies, the greatest challenge is that you show up like this color, and you come with the notion of the aesthetic, that you have a background in aesthetic that knows what these people wear and what colors these people adhere to, but you don't know how to design for the public at large, or what I call the end user. And so when you come to a large corporation and they go, the end user is not African American, and that's who you are. So that's your aesthetic, I assume, and so you have to prove that you can design for the masses. And then once you prove that you can design for the masses, now let me ask you the challenging question. At what point, if you are a key in a major company, and you've proven to them that you can adhere to the masses, when do you turn around and say, okay, fine, now let's display the merchandise on someone that's African American? We go right back to the beginning. We didn't want you here to begin with because we thought you were going to try to reach back to, our end user is not, and then you convince them that, yes, everybody wears this.
And now,
Yeah.
even to that point, now it's even juxtaposed because, and I've recently looked over and had this information, Essence Festival this year, there were 750,000 people descended upon New Orleans. That's bigger than Coachella.
Okay.
Can we get a round of applause? So now, this room where I used to be at the Hope Rim Cruise and the Anthropologies where I do private, and I consult Soul Cycle for private label. So now they want to know, when I'm the only one, now they want to know what people that look like me want to wear. Because now they want to tap the numbers
Right.
for the consumer that she does.
Can we,
This is the frontier.
yes,
Right.
and can we move on to another question? Is there another question out there? Yeah, we can get wrapped up in this for hours and hours
I
and
have a question,
days.
but I do have a comment. It was an observation. Where she was going back to her childhood, and she talked about the fact that when he beat her and how she performed that on stage. We were just having a conversation about our childhood before we walked in the door, and I noticed how she turned her trauma into art. Like she didn't even realize that she was doing it, but it became a part of who she is. And I think that all of you, what you're saying is beautiful because it's reflecting what happened. We have to go in there and turn it around because
That's
forget
right.
who her audience was. I didn't see too many of us in her audience,
No, not at
right?
all.
And the thing was, she appealed to the masses, but she was still true to who she was. So.
Exactly.
And that's part of branding yourself.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times we get lost in brands, and it's not enough for to go to work and brand them as growing and brand you as not. So there's never a point in your career that you shouldn't be defining brand you.
Okay. Last question.
I understand we're wrapping this up. So for those individuals here that want to be the next one of you, what advice would you give?
In 2014, I was producing New York Fashion Week shows, but it wasn't considered to be the epitome of producing during Fashion Week. You had to be in the Mercedes-Benz tents, and I decided to produce a show for Mercedes-Benz. And I looked to see what wasn't happening, and they didn't have any Scandinavian designers, but I was strategic about it because I was planning on placing a bomb and blowing it up. So I wanted to have a runway with 60% black models, black PR company, me, black production company, black hair, makeup, and a Scandinavian designer. What has never been done at that point. And we got write-ups in Harper's Bazaar and all of this other kind of stuff or what have you about doing that. I say that to say this because if you don't think bigger than your dreams at night, if you don't think bigger than that picture in your window that goes up Fulton Street and down Fulton Street in Atlantic Avenue or 125th or in New Orleans or in South Dakota or wherever you are, if you don't think bigger than that picture and step up and step out on faith, you will never realize your dreams. So if you want to be the next anybody, be the next you first. Because when you start to be the next you will see you exceeded what you thought that somebody that you wanted to be could ever be.
Yeah.
So be the next you, not the next me.
And recognize too that, one of the proverbs that I really live by, it says, if the best is possible, then good is not enough. And that way you set your own standards because you know your best. And if you aim for that, there's no way that you're not going to shine, that you're going to exceed far and beyond the next Mickey Taylor or being the next anyone. You know, there is a placeholder for you, and you owe it to yourself to show up and fill it.
And also, in turn, we as a people have a fear of working for free. But you ain't working for free because that's an education that you pay for. When I set out to do Mercedes-Benz, when I tell you they threw broken glass and tricks and things in the road to bust me up and stop me from succeeding, it was a Harvard education. I was up at 3 o'clock every morning talking to Scandinavia, then getting into 9 o'clock in the morning into the city to deal with Mercedes-Benz people and IMG fashion and all that kind of stuff or whatever. And everything. And if I hadn't listened to other people and interned and volunteered and given my time to perfect my craft to whereas that I can produce at this level without any of their assistance and to outshow the Cynthia Raleigh and Zach Posen, where everyone had to come to my show because I had every celebrity in the building and shut Lincoln Center down. They do my show for 3 hours that day. So, you know, and I learned from the best. I didn't get paid when I came to the studio for Shakes by Anton. But then when I took over the studio by Shakes by Anton, it was because what I learned from this brother.
Can I tell you the church they say? Try to remember it. The will to do. The will, sheer will, the will to do will make a way. You just got to be willing. We went to the moon from a thought. Somebody just had an idea, and then the will to do it, and the will creates the way. Just sheer will.
Just sheer will. I'm going to close this out, and I want everyone on the panel to give your information on how people can reach you and how they can get the book if they can't use the pre-order or whatever they need to do to get the books that you have. And I'll pass the mic on down, starting with Mickey, and we'll just bring it on down. Everybody will close out that way. And I wish you all a safe and harmonious travels to wherever you're going. God bless you. Always know that whatever it is that you want to do is here first, because that's where it's going to start. And once you come from here, you can go anywhere.
So you can continue the conversation with yours truly at Instagram and Twitter at I am Mickey Taylor, and on Facebook at Mickey Taylor. My book is available in booksellers nationwide. It's also available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and it's also available as an ebook. So, yeah.
I can be reached on Facebook and Instagram at Tamiko White, TAMIKOWHITE. My book is available now. I have taking pre-orders. I have a few copies at the front. I'm also available on, not me, the book is also available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
I don't have a book. My first part is two beautiful sisters. My name is Christian Reward. Still booking and producing a lot of shows. I could be reached at www.christianruart.com. Instagram, same thing. And I'm passing the mic to Leonard. He's also an amazing African-American collector, so I think he should tell you a little quick.
Okay, your check is in the mail. So another iteration, because we all have a lot of different things that we do that we're interested in. From fashion, I got frustrated with presentation. A lot of designers get really excited about their clothing, but they don't learn, and it's not part of the fashion curriculum to teach you how to present your clothing. And so through this lady here, Gwen Sargent, we formed an organization called, she ran on the chest there, the Facts Organization, and we created a group some years back to do fashion presentations and to teach people how to present their clothing properly and professionally on 7th Avenue. From there, I learned a lot of fashion history because you need to know background on companies, how they got started, who's famous, and who were the real key components to starting. And that led me into African American history. Not African history, but African American history and African American historical items. Things in our families that we need to hold on to, that photographs and artifacts that belong to our ancestors, the Negro Leagues, Madam C.J. Walker, a lot of the fashion history, Elizabeth Keckley, a lot of history that we have in our families that we're not investigating and taking, and I learned it unfortunately by way of white people telling me my history.
Yeah, so how can we continue
So therefore I started collecting, and so I have a book, called Black Americana, Price Guide, which is a guidebook to those who are interested in collecting our African American history. So on Amazon, terms of history, and all the booksellers and whatever, you can pick African American, collecting Black Americana, and my name is Leonard Davis. Thank you very much.
Again, I just would like to thank you all. My name is Ty Chun. It's TAICHUNN. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's my website. This is my new jewelry line that I'm wearing. And I have watches and accessories coming out, and I also have a book coming out. No shade. And I just like to thank all of you for coming out and all of you for reaching out to us. Please reach out to us on our Instagrams, Twitter. We'll continue this conversation. We can even start a group chat. Let's get it going. Let's get it popping. Love you all. Thank you.